Alright, it's 3 days before the 2022 Cape Wrath Ultra. Packing going so. I'd love to tell you this is my own meticulous packing down here on the floor beside me. But as you can probably see by the bras and pants, this is my wife's meticulous packing. I'd be embarrassed to show you where my packing is at right now. But I am taking a moment out to acknowledge some lovely cards that I got today, so let's take a look. And I'd particularly like to call attention to those who've personalised their envelope with some Cape Rat emblem on the front, some nice running quotes on the back. Just run. I tell our runners to divide the race into thirds. Run the first part with your head, the middle part with your personality, and the last part with your heart. The task ahead of you is never greater than the strength within you. True words. So it's Friday morning, 2 days before the start of the Cape Rat Ultra. Packing is done-ish. I'll tell you about that later. But for right now, it's time to get the show on the road. Driving from Dublin north to Larne, then getting the ferry across to Stranraer and driving about 4 hours north to Fort William. Let's get the show on the road.
Hasn't stopped raining since we arrived in Scotland about 4 hours ago. This is about as light as the rain has been. Yarg!
Alright, it's now Saturday morning. T-1 to the start of the 2022 Cape Wrath Ultra. We made it to Fort William yesterday evening through what could only be called a deluge. Man alive, the rain just did not stop pouring down on us. Oof. But better to be in a car, I guess, than out in the Highlands in such conditions. But here's my current dilemma. See, I packed up all this stuff and it didn't quite fit, but I still have all this stuff to go in. So packing needs to be completed. So what I'm going to do right now is make sense of all of this, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to put in my pack. Okay, so I've reorganized all my kit and I'm happy to report that it all fits in and is within weight. I suppose what most people will have experienced is weight doesn't become the problem, volume becomes the problem. But I think we're good. So let me quickly run you through it and I'll show you what I'm taking. Alright, so first up I've got my sleeping mat, Thermarest, and the sleeping pillow. Borrowed from a good friend of mine. I've got a travel towel, only towel I'm taking with me. I've got 2 sleeping bags, as I mentioned in a previous video. 1 smaller sleeping bag and 1 larger one. My wife is taking a second smaller one, so if weather conditions are good, we will both sleep in small sleeping bags. If weather conditions are bad, one person will sleep in the bigger sleeping bag and one person will double up the 2 smaller sleeping bags. And by bad I mean cold. And it was cold here last night, I don't mind telling you. This bag is full of items that I'm going to need at night, so toothbrush, toothpaste, it's got my t-shirt that I'll be sleeping in, all those bits and pieces you need when it's time to go to bed. Walking poles, I've got 3 sets of not 3 sets, I've got 3 walking poles in total, i.e. I'm taking 1 spare with me. I probably wouldn't take 1 spare with me, except that a couple of years ago when I did the Kerry Way for the first time, I broke my walking pole on the very first section of it, and only that my wife was able to get me a spare. At the first aid station, I wouldn't have been a very happy chappy. Here I've got a clothesline. I'm not sure how much opportunity we're going to have for drying items, but I've got a clothesline and there's also some pegs in there as well. Next up, this is kind of my first aid kit. So it's got my blister pack, it's got some plasters, it's got smidge, it's got my sunscreen, it's got my midge hair, not hairnet, but face net to protect us. Hopefully they won't be too voracious out there in the Scottish Highlands. After that, we're over here. This is just all my electronics. I've got my batteries, I've got my power packs, so that's all in there. Okay, I am taking the massage ball, just going to throw it in, it's light, it fits, so that's going to go in. I've got my canteen pack, bowl, spoon, fork, mug inside, and washing utensil on top. I'll take this one here. Next is just full of tops, so short sleeve and long sleeve t-shirts. This one is full of socks, so I've pretty much got t-shirt and socks, one for each day. This is one spare set of running shoes and one pair of sandals that I'm going to wear about camp. So that's my shoes, other than the shoes I'm going to wear on my feet for day one. This is what I've got by way of spares. One pair set of shoes, one set of sandals. This one, I better be careful with this. This is the food. Oh, we're talking about 4 kg of food here, and as I mentioned as well in my nutrition episode, we're talking pretty much exclusively bars, gels and Tailwind. Adds up though weight wise. This bag over here is comfy stuff, so get back into camp and get my running gear off and I've got a bubble jacket in here, I've got some clothes for underneath, I've got nice generally comfy stuff, keep me warm, get me recovering quickly. I've got compression socks, and that is it for the stuff that's going into the pack. All right, let's talk about the day pack. So for my day pack, I've obviously got my running top, shorts and socks. I did purchase a pair of Hokas. I know I mentioned in a previous video that I wear Asics, but Asics didn't have the shoes I wanted. They only had Gore-Tex. I didn't want Gore-Tex, so I bought a pair of Hoka Speed Goats only about 2 weeks ago. So I've been breaking them in ever since, wearing them down to the shop and everywhere I go. I've got my bladder, as I mentioned. The bulky item, which I underestimated a little bit, was the warm layer. It's about 350 grams of synthetically insulated bubble jacket, so that is bulky. In here I've also got my survival blanket and a few other bits and pieces that I could squeeze into this. What I also invested in was the Solomon filter for the water purification purposes, but other than that it's all the same as I would have shown previously, and that is it. All right guys, this is the full pack. Got to get it packed up now and get onto registration. I may possibly be the last person ever to pack my bag in advance of the race. Let's go find out. Let's have a look. What are we reading?